Welcome to another episode of Health Creators. This is Liv, and I'm joined here today by Paul Hamer, founder and CEO of Biomes. So, Paul, can you give us an elevator pitch of what Biomes does?
Yes, first of all, thank you to be here, and of course, Liv. So I'm Dr. Paul Hamer. I'm the CEO and founder of Biomes, and we are doing genomic-based healthcare, and we are specialized in the field of microbiomes. So we discovered all living bugs, bacteria, fungi, viruses living in and on your body, and we try to optimize this microbiome by personalized nutrition, by personalized nutrition supplements, so that you're overall becoming well-being and better health.
Interesting. And what made you start this company?
What, sorry?
What made you start this company?
When I did start it?
Why did you start
So why did I start it? So now
Yeah.
I understood, sorry. Quite easy, because during my PhD I came in contact with the basic technology behind our business, and it's called next generation sequencing. So with this technology we are now able to convert a lot complex genomes and DNA pools to digital DNA. And now we were first able to analyze such complex genomes like the microbiome or the human genome in short time and in cost-effective manner. And for me it was clear that this technology will change a time area, that the time area of genomics will start. And it was always my goal to make technology transfer to the normal people, to help them to get a better life.
Can you just explain what you mean by microbiome?
Microbiome, yes, of course.
Yeah.
I mean, microbiome means all microorganisms in one community, in one ecosystem.
Yeah.
So, and microorganisms are really, really tiny living cells that are bacteria, that are fungi, that are viruses, archaeas. So a lot of different microbes living in our whole world, and they're living everywhere. They're living on our skin, in our mouth. The most famous is our gut microbiome. And the funny thing is, we are existing of more external microbes than of own human cells. And they have a big influence on our well-being and our health. So, but they are not living in our bodies, on our bodies. They're living also in soil. They're living on plants. Actually, they're living everywhere where there's life on this planet.
And why did you decide to explore specifically microbiomes?
Because the microbiome is so important for our well-being and health. I mean, they evolved together with us in symbiosis over the last million of years of evolution. And we need them. If we do not have bacteria in our gut, we wouldn't be able to digest specific nutrition and specific foods. So it's really important. And they're not just doing digestion, they're doing also regulating our immune system. They're helping us to protect against pathogens. And they produce really important molecules like vitamins or neurotransmitters who are doing other stuff in our body, biochemical reactions in the field of mood, of sleep, of cholesterol levels. So they have millions of different pathways and signals, and so they're really, really important for our overall health.
Why is it important to understand the DNA of the microbiomes?
I mean, this is a new technology. First of all, we know we have microbes in our body living in our gut, and the old method was the cultivation. So you took a sample for the gut microbiome, you took a stool sample, you put it on plates with agar, and then there's some growing. But you can only detect around 10% of these bacteria. With the new technology, which is DNA-based, we just take a tiny smear of a used toilet paper, you have 100 million bacteria on it around, and then you crack all the cell walls and take out the DNA. So you can not only identify every microbe, you can also quantify it. And it's much more precise than doing this cultivation method, where you just identify 10%. And this is not only identifying, you cannot also not so good and precise quantify. So it's a quantum leap in the technology, which enables us to do better research, to do better detection of the microbiome.
Yeah, I read something interesting on your website where you say essentially an individual's microbiome composition is similar to their fingerprint.
That's correct, yes.
So everyone has a different composition of microbiome depending on who you are, like your family, where you live, like.
Yes.
What if you have twins and they live in different places? Like, would they
you have different fingerprints of your microbiota profile? I mean, a microbiota profile consists a healthy around 1,000 different bacteria strains. And then you have a lot of different archaeas and different viruses. So you see a high complex and it's dynamic, it changes over life. And it's depending on your environment, so where you grow up. If you grow up in a sterile environment without dirt, not playing in the soil, in the dirt, you will not have so much contact and you have less bacteria in you. But also if you had antibiotics, medicine, drugs, you destroy your normal healthy microbiome. You lose diversity of your microbes.
But you can get it back.
You can get it back. That's a good thing. The difference between the human genome from our parents, which is on our human cells, you cannot change easily. The microbiome can change easily by specific nutrition, behavior. We have also supplements already, probiotics, which helps to improve the microbiome on your skin, in your mouth, in your gut, wherever.
What can you predict? So like if you took someone's like microbiome, can you predict like how healthy they are and like what diseases they might have based off of that?
Yes. I mean, we can predict if they have specific problems, mainly digestion problems, bloating, diarrhea.
But like what about like obesity, diabetes?
Obesity, we can now, I mean, we have more than 40,000 microbiota profiles from individuals. And we trained already neuronal networks with our machine learning algorithm. And what we published actually 3 weeks ago was a new predictor tool for type 2 diabetes. So we can just say if you are a risk patient or you have it already or you are not a risk person, just by analyzing your poo for the microbiome profile, and then we can say, okay, you are a risk one with a likelihood, probability score, and that's a good thing, we can optimize your microbiota profile in terms of that your glucose release in the blood will decrease. When you have the right microbes in your gut, they will work with the glucose from your food. They will make the metabolism. And so you have less glucose release, and that's much more better for a risk person. And the development of this disease will be much more slower.
And presumably you can do that for a whole host of different diseases, right?
Absolutely.
And then I don't know, we could basically test like babies to figure out like how are they gonna develop? Like are they at risk for?
I mean, babies are special because you get first contact during your birth with the vaginal microbiome of your mother. This is your first contact. And then you get it from breastfeeding, and then you get it how you grow up. So your microbiota will grow firstly until you are a teenager, 15 years ago, years around. And then you have this adult microbiota profile. And this can change depending on your lifestyle and your nutrition style. If you're just eating junk food, if you're taking antibiotics and such things, you will decrease your diversity. If you're living a healthy life, you have diverse food, healthy food, not industrial processed food, not so much sugar and such things, you will more high diversity. And high diversity is linked to health, to good health, because you have a lot of different bacteria specialized for different functions. That's the secret behind, actually. Yeah.
Is there an age where your microbiome like stabilizes?
Yes, between from 15 till 80, 85. When you get older, you lose again some.
50, 50, or 15?
85.
15 to
15, 5 to 85.
and then
That's around stable, depending on your lifestyle. I mean, when you get an infection by a pathogen or other disease and you have to take chemotherapies or something like that, you destroy your microbiome. But the good thing is you can change it again. After such an impact, you can start again to recover your microbiome by the right food, by the right lifestyle. Yes.
So outside of just like sequencing microbiome, what exactly do you do to help people?
I mean, our vision at Biomes is that we transform our actually currently sick system, because you go first to a doctor when you are sick, and our health system is optimized to cure illness, sickness, but this is not the right way in my opinion. It would be much more better to prevent and to strengthen health. And you can do it if you say with biomarker analysis, your genome, your microbiome, some blood markers, and combine it with sensor data, like your activity profile, your sleep profile. When you combine these data, you first of all can adjust the individualized person to a healthy lifestyle, nutrition style, personalized nutrition. And you can see changes from a health mode to a disease mode much more earlier, and you can make better earlier diagnosis, and you have better outcomes.
Are there differences between female and male microbiomes, in different ethnicities? Have you analyzed that?
Actually, yes. You see difference, and you can predict on a microbiota profile, is this person living more on the coast, more living in the urban region? We can also predict, is it woman or male, what age around, and you see also patterns like for smokers. Or you can see a lot out of it, yes. And I mean, it's all statistics, and we already with our data pool, we can predict this type 2 diabetes, and we can also predict other things. I mean, it's all about how safe is it, how high is the probability score. But with the growing data pool, we get more and more specific statistical safeness. So that's pretty creepy sometimes, because we can detect a lot out of your poo. Yes.
So you could basically like take the microbiome of anyone and just like guess who they are based off of that.
Yeah, I mean, it could be the future, yes. I mean, similar to the human genome, there are already also tools outside where I can predict your look to different ages.
It's like even on the skin, right? So you can basically just like swab someone and be like, I know who you are.
Yeah, but skin is different to gut. You have much more microbes, higher diversity. We have not so much data about skin, and I don't think that skin has the complexity in the number of different strains. But with the gut, we see a lot already, and we can train models. Yeah, and then we can make the predictions. And I mean, the future for me is to do once a year a microbiome analysis, a gut microbiome analysis, and we can predict different risk profiles for different diseases, cardiovascular diseases, mental diseases, type 2 diabetes diseases, cancer diseases. I mean, you can do a lot of it, and I think this is the future. And the good thing is that you can adjust it after you see, okay, I have a risk. I work again with easy things like changing my daily food, yeah, or taking the right strains. So this will be the future, and yeah, let's see. I hope Biomes is a part of it.
I think you mentioned something earlier about signaling pathways, and I find that a very interesting area. And I've been reading a lot into things like pendulum health.
Pendulum, huh?
Yeah.
Yeah, they have the Akkermansia strain.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I find that very interesting that they essentially are a clinically validated solution for diabetes, right? But it is that they are introducing a bacterial strain into people with diabetes from people who are like, I think they identified essentially a group of people in Japan or something like this who were thinner than most people, and they found a bacterial strain that was like diabetes resistant essentially, and then they're introducing it into people with diabetes.
Okay.
And they've clinically validated that.
Crazy. You see, you see what's going on in the research and also in the clinics, and how this will improve our whole life. And I mean, we see in our own data that we have significant specific bacteria over or underrepresented in overweight or underweight people, and you see it for different diseases also. And I mean, Akkermansia is one of these superbugs which helps to regulate your weight, which helps to regulate also your sugar level and the glucose level. So if you have the right superbugs, and if you maybe manipulate it, also improve it in laboratory before you get it, there are a lot of things can do. I mean, it's biological hacking in the end.
Exactly. There's basically a limitless like number of things you can do, right? Because we talk about like microbiome being like a signaling path, like signaling mechanism.
Yes.
And how it impacts like different protein production, neurotransmitter activation, right? And then you see companies like Z-Biotics. And so Z-Biotics genetically engineered bacteria to produce the enzyme that breaks down alcohol.
Yes.
And it's crazy. So you basically take this probiotic, but it's actually a genetically engineered enzyme to break down alcohol so you don't get a hangover.
Yes. I mean, this is evolution done by us humans.
Yeah.
We are already in this time area where we have the tools in the laboratory to do gene editing on these bugs to improve them or give them new functions. And then we can take these bugs inside, and these function in our bodies. And you have to imagine everything what we take orally into our body goes to our digestion pathway, digestion to the sin, colon, and the colon. And in the colon is the decision if what happens to this food, to this drug, whatever. And first of all, the microbiome is doing metabolism with these foods and drugs and all these molecules. And then it's deciding what's coming out, what products, and what is going through the gut barrier into our bloodstream. And so this is the first mechanism deciding about what's going on into our body. And again, this what is doing in our bodies, different organs in our brain, in our heart, in our liver. So completely interesting. And I mean, this is the first step where we can do improvements, with new functions which help us to get fitter, get more robust against pathogens or other diseases.
And you mentioned basically how microbiomes have an impact on mood, right? Like you can predict mental health. Can you talk more on that?
There are a lot of studies outside already who show the connection between the gut and the brain. There's a vagus nerve, that's a direct connection, but we know there are also other influences by molecules produced by the bugs in our gut. They are called mainly short fatty acids. They are really, really important. They do a lot of biochemical regulations, and they're going through the bloodstream into our brain, and they have influences on specific releases of neurotransmitters, and they regulate our mood. They have influence on diseases like depression, anxiety. So we are now in a time where we understand more and more that the microbiome in our gut, which is actually not located in our brain, has a huge impact on our mental health. And we see a lot of correlation. We still need more research to understand what's the reason behind the causality, but this is only a matter of time.
Yeah. It's interesting. It's like 80% of serotonin receptors are actually in our gut.
Yeah, I mean that's the second neuronal. That's the second brain. It's a gut feeling.
The gut feeling. Yeah.
You know it. I mean, when you fall in love, or when you have the intuition, sometimes here on your gut, on your belly. Yes, and I mean this is because we have millions of neurons also.
In our gut.
Yeah. And they are also in interaction with the microbes.
So if I can genetically engineer, right? If I can genetically engineer a strain of probiotics to contain any enzyme, right? Basically any enzyme, could we... okay.
I'm not sure if one microbe is good enough for that. It would too big, and it could not live, I would say. It's too complex to have any enzyme. You mean a superbug which has consisting all
not every, but any in terms of we can genetically engineer, right, a strain of bacteria to have any type of enzyme inside.
Yes.
So in that case, could we essentially reproduce the effect of pharmaceutical drugs without the need of pharmaceutical drugs?
Theoretically, I would say yes. I mean, we have to prove it, but yeah, of course. I mean, you have always a cause because on a molecular level, and when we understand what is the reason on the molecular level that these diseases arise, and then we try mainly to cure the symptoms, not the cause. And when you know, okay, there's a genetic disorder and this enzyme is not functioning good enough, and you have a bug inside which is living in your gut and is producing this enzyme in a correct version, you have fight the cause and not only the symptoms. So it's an approach, and I can imagine it could work for many diseases.
But even if we talk about current drugs that do relieve symptoms, right? Yeah. They work by binding somehow to receptors.
Yes.
And if we can basically control those signaling pathways through the microbiome, then do we essentially cut out the middleman and cut out the byproducts of these harmful
I mean,
chemicals?
It's not only microbes. I mean, they are living more on specific areas. When you're talking about neurons, I mean, there are also some kinds of microbes, smaller one. We find also brain microbiome already, but it's a combination also, I would say, with gene editing. So when you try to repair the human genome in the cell, cells which are producing the specific enzyme or antibody or whatever protein. So it's a mix, I think. This is the time of genomics, and genomics means microbiome optimization and human genome optimization. So the combination will be the future.
What do you mean a combination?
That's a combination that you can optimize the microbes, and you can optimize also your human genome.
How would you optimize your human genome?
Yeah, with CRISPR-PR, for example. So you make gene editing.
So like gene editing
plus microbiome optimization.
Interesting. And that's like longevity, essentially.
It can also, overcome the world diseases and become older, longevity. There will come a lot of different things. I mean, it's a little bit creepy about thinking the future, because now we have the tools to manipulate the human genome and the microbiome, and we are creating mutants, a lot of different mutants. And I don't know, in 20, 30, 40 years, we have everywhere new mutants. And it's not only mutants, I mean, the point is also our pedigrees, or our childs get these functions, these properties, and then you created a completely new species maybe, and...
Like we are the X-Men.
Yes, similar like that. I mean, there are a lot of movies outside showing this, but I mean, that's a point why we need the society talks, the discussions, the ethic committees. Yeah, because we're playing a little bit God, and we're doing the evolution now. And I'm not sure if that's a good way, because I mean, technology is always not evil, not bad, and not good. It's just technology. It gives us opportunities.
Yeah.
It's a point how we use these technologies. And when we use it in a right ethic way, it's fine. But you know, there are a lot of people and organizations, militaries outside, they're doing their own interests, and then technology can also mistreat it. Yeah.
To make super fighters.
Super fighters, I mean, you can create maybe at a certain point people who have a stronger immune system, but have also stronger arms, have more visibility, can see also in the UV or infrared areas. You can get genes from cats, different species. You can make tumors. So that, I mean, fantasy, that's the thing. Will never stop to create new creations, new mutants in our mind.
I mean, in a way, like we're all kind of mutants, right? Because we're always evolving.
Yeah.
And one thing that I was wondering, so like basically epigenetics, right? Kind of happen like even between one generation to another, it changes. So let's say like India, for example, had 3 famines. And now we can see that the rate of type 2 diabetes is much higher than in other countries. And people think that it's because epigenetically, after your ancestors have been starving, you now possess like a different phenotype where you're more likely to get obesity, where you're more likely to put on weight, where you're more likely to get type 2 diabetes. How much does epigenetics relate to microbiome composition being passed down between my great grandfather who had a family to me?
Good point. I mean, the host genome and the epigenetic is a part of the host genome. It's regulating the gene expression, the gene activity, and all the stuff. In my opinion, it has an influence. But it's a really interesting question, and we need more research to go deeper on it. But I believe that epigenetics, as well as the host genome, has a huge impact also on the composition of your microbiome in your gut or on your skin. So it's an interaction play between host genome and microbiome. And so the epigenetics has also an influence on it.
That's interesting, because people say like you as a person, your nature and nurture, right? So 50-50. So it's almost like your nature is your DNA and your nurture is your microbiome.
Yeah, similar like that. Kind of. I mean, we say around 20-25% is your genetic profile, and 75% is your environment, your way you live, and your way you live has a huge impact on your microbiome again. And so your microbiome is also, depending on your lifestyle, but also depending on your host genome, also from your own genome. So it's complicated. I mean, life is complicated. We are consisting of billions of cells, having every second billions of biochemical reactions. I mean, it's not understandable for our intelligence to see these abstract numbers, to understand these abstract numbers, but it's working, and it's evolved over 3.5 billion years on our Earth. So it took a long time, And yeah, now we try to understand it, but I mean, it's so complex. The normal people just cannot imagine, can understand every single thing.
How many years have you been looking into biomes?
Microbiomes?
Or like how many years have you been doing biomes and how many years have you been
Actually, I started during my PhD time. It was 2008 around. I started with this next generation sequencing, and I started with cancer cells. I did some cell lines, some experiments. I tried to understand why some cells are more resistant against chemotherapy, against radiation, and some are more sensitive. And I did some gene expression studies with next generation sequencing, whole transcriptome analysis, and I identified specific pathways in resistant cells, DNA repair mechanism and such things, which help these cells to become more resistant. And I understood then, I was 5-6 years, 2015 around, I was invited to the Microbiota World Congress. And I said at Pasteur Institute in Paris. It was a great event for me, and I was the first time in contact with the microbiome. And my point was always the human genome until this specific event. And the human genome has a problem. We cannot just manipulate it. We cannot change it so easily. I mean, they will come cross-PR and such things, but it's far away. But the microbiome has such a huge impact on our life, on our well-being, on our health, and we can easily manipulate it. We can easily optimize it by personalized nutrition, by nutrition supplements, by drinking the right water and whatever. And so I started to think about this much, and for this time, and always now, still now, it's much more or better for me to go in the microbiome field to improve the health of people, of individuals. So that was the reason. Actually, the Pasteur Institute World Congress.
Ah, cool. So what's the coolest thing that you've discovered since like 2008 about the microbiome?
Oh,
like that you were literally like brain explosion. Like I can't believe this.
I mean, we had a lot of nice insights already. I mean, when we built such a predictor tool and you see you can predict such on a microbiota profile a disease or a risk for that, it's crazy just from poop. But we find also specific bacteria strains which are only in specific people. So it's not only research from ours, but for example, we have research in our community. They discovered specific bacteria strain, Violinella, which are living in guts of runners, marathon runners.
Interesting.
Yeah, marathon runners who do a lot of kilometers, who have a lot of condition.
Yeah.
And we see that these bugs has a positive influence of their duration stability. Yeah, and that's crazy. And we know because they're producing a lot of propionate, this short fatty acid, going into the muscle, producing lactate, and it's a feedback loop. Another thing is
I need to take that.
If you like to run a marathon, you should take it, yes. Yeah. But we have also discovered in new bacteria strains, finding in people who are doing a lot of sports, they get always, you know, when you do sports, you get this good feeling after it. It's like a small high.
Yeah.
And then we have people who are couch potatoes. They are just lying on the couch. They have not the discipline. They have not the fire to do sports. And now we found bacteria in these sports, crazy sport freaks who are doing everyday sports, because these bacteria have also signal waves producing dopamine, endorphins, like when you're smoking a cigarette after it. And so you are much more motivated to sport again. And so, I mean, this could be also a therapy for people who are lazy, who are not doing so much sport. You know, activities are really important also for our bodies, for our muscles, for metabolism.
So the gut bacteria is actually stimulating endorphin and dopamine production in the brain,
Yeah.
which causes so only on movement, right? So
After you did sports, so you
if I have this strain of gut bacteria, then every time I exercise, I have more endorphins and more dopamine, and so now I'm like more addicted to exercising.
yeah.
Interesting.
That's an interesting thing, yeah.
I definitely need that one.
I can send you the publication.
Yes, please.
I'm not sure. I mean, the point is that we, at the moment, are limited in our bacterial strains and the production. We have the anaerobe and we have the aerobe cells, bacterial cells. And it's not easy to produce them in an industrial scale, and you need specific microcapsulation and capsulation to protect against stomach acid, so that they coming to your colon in an active, alive way. And we are limited to 30, 35 genus things, but we have hundreds. And I mean, there will come in the future more and more out. And I think in a few years we have a lot of different bacteria strains, and you can mix it to your own, and you can drink it, and you can improve it like a vaccine. You do a once a year vaccine, a microbiome vaccine with these microbiomes you need. And you can, of course, eat the right food.
And they're kind of considered like dietary supplements, and because they've already existed in humans, it's like we know it's safe, right?
Yeah.
It's not like we're introducing something that has never been in a human before. This is just something that is in a specific type of human that you want.
Yeah. Yes, that's the point. That's the point. So crazy and fantastic things would come to us and possibilities.
And so how long have you been doing Biome for? You said you did your PhD in 2008.
Yeah.
But I'm guessing there was a time between then.
Yes, absolutely. I had, since 10, 12 years, I'm more an entrepreneur. And in my heart, I'm still a scientist. I love to do research, and I would like to do it more. Now I'm doing a lot of management, doing organization stuff, people management, talking to investors, shareholder agreements, shareholder boards.
Well, what stage are you guys at now? Did you raise or?
We founded in November 2017.
Yeah.
And the first 3 years was great. We had a lot of success.
Yeah.
Great revenues, great new number of customers. We helped a lot of people, great feedback. A lot of investors standing in the queue and wanted to work with us. And then Corona started. And we started in the end consumer business with the microbiome tests, the gut microbiome analysis and test pro. That's our main product at this time. And then Corona started, and we got also requests from the Ministry of Health if we could if we could produce more production capacity for this qPCR detection method. And we started that, we helped, but we lost our focus on microbiome.
Yeah.
And then you are in online marketing, you are depending on Google algorithms and all the stuff. We fall down. So a lot of things, not good things happen. And then we had troubles, also shareholder troubles. And we have a Russian oligarch in our shareholder, and so we need a restructuring by an insolvency and all this stuff. And then we started, and the war began, and so the last two and a half years was a lot of crisis after 3 years going to the sky. But this is a way of entrepreneurship, It's not always going in the line. You need a lot of patience, passion, you need with resilience. You need resistance, and always think and believe on what you're doing, that you go back to the right way. And so it's not easy always, and we are at the moment on a fundraise process. So we try to raise.
What are you raising now?
We're raising 3 up to 5 millions.
Yeah.
Until the end of this year. And yeah, I mean, we have already good revenues. It could be, and I think so. That's now the point to get break even with these 3-5 millions, and yeah, to get then a stable company, to focus on it. Because I mean, we have two phases, two stages. The first phase was growing up a business, an end consumer business, collecting really valuable data sets. So we have this individual biological microbiota profile, but we have also up to 80 data points about these donors, this individual, this customer. We know what age, what weight, what they eat, do they have pets, do they are smoker, and
cool.
and that makes this data pool really valuable, and we can train new models. And now we go into the second phase, where we generate new applications like this type 2 diabetes risk prediction tool, and we can also offer industrial companies in pharma or in food to improve their products, to also increase or accelerate their product development by looking in our database, hey, what kind of bugs playing a role in constipation, for example. And then a food company can generate a new probiotic. And so this is phase 2. It's a little bit analog, similar to 23andMe. You know, this genomic company from US. They did also a lot of collecting genetic profiles, and now they're doing a lot of data analysis for pharma companies, clinics, or food companies.
I used Circle DNA. I used Circle DNA, and they have this very nice app that basically like kind of maps out all your risk factors.
It's similar. I mean, it's based, I'm not sure, it could be also based on 23andMe database. I mean, this is also really nice to know more about your body, not only your microbiome, also your human genome. When you connect these data,
but
you understand better why you have maybe sometimes side effects, or you're intolerant against some foods or something like that.
I feel like this is like almost more regular though, because your microbiome changes, right, and your DNA does not. So it's like if I did a DNA test, it's a very one-off, but because my microbiome is going to be different, even when I'm traveling to a different country, eating different food, it's going to be different. So I feel like the propensity to regular testing would probably be higher in that
Absolutely.
case.
I mean, for the business model, it's much more easier and better to working with the microbiome, because I mean, you can repeat, you can change it, so you can repeat the analysis, you can create add-on products like probiotics, nutrition plans, and such things. And it's not underlying laws, diagnostic laws, because it's not your own human genome, it's external DNA. We have in Germany, we have these genetic laws, so it's not allowed to do human and genome analysis. So that was the reason why we also started with the microbiome.
Interesting.
What we have already also, yesterday we launched, if you go on our page, gut microbiome analysis for dogs. They have the similar problems like us. And the good thing for dogs is that you can generate the right food with the right ingredients. You cannot do it for humans at the moment. You can say, okay, eat this and this more, but there you have...
You can like fully control what your dog eats.
I mean, we're working also on a horse test. Horses have a lot of problems. They are not running so much, they stand too long. They have always colics because of some treatments against worms. And we did already also soil analysis. You can also improve the microbiota in soils to improve the fruitfulness of a plant. So, you know, there are a lot of applications. It's a new basis technology, genomics. And we build up this technology platform which enable us to analyze any kind of DNA or RNA, nucleic acid. But I mean, our main focus at the moment is still the human gut microbiome. And we have also some ideas about the skin microbiome, the mouth microbiome. So there will come more and more analysis in the future.
Yeah. So patience, passion, resistance, and belief.
Yes.
What is the number one thing you would recommend to someone who wants to build a healthcare startup?
Be resistant against everything. Be resistant. Yes, that's I mean the most important thing, but because you as CEO, you have always to handle problems mainly.
Yeah.
So people coming to you because they have a problem.
Yeah.
And you have to always have to be thinking logical. Try to avoid the emotional thinking.
Yeah.
Being on a logical way. It's not always easy. I mean, we are all humans, and we have all our issues, problems, whatever. And sometimes you have to do also really, really hard decisions.
Yeah.
Against people you love, maybe you worked again a long time, but you have to think for the whole organization and not for an individual. So I mean, the individual is also really important. But you have limited resources as startup, and you cannot handle every issue, and you are not the social club to help everybody. You are an economic company, and you need to be successful, and so sometimes you have to do really hard decisions, and so you need to be resistant as well.
Can you give us a story example?
Oh yes, I can do. I mean, I have employees. I have to fire, and I know they are really nice people, and I like them on a friendship.
Yeah.
And I know they had problems at home. They had a newborn, and it was not healthy, and they built a house and all the stuff. But the reason was that were also reasons why these persons maybe not bringing all these potential in the company, and they are missing maybe also too often. And with limited resources, you can do it maybe some months, but when you recognize, okay, this potential of this person will not come back where it was, and we cannot handle it in the future, you have to make really hard, tough decisions. So I had to do this once, and this is not only once, several times. Also with this restruction, insolvency, shareholder stuff. I mean, you need a lot of resistance to do this stuff, and even if you are emotional at this point. I mean, I'm also an emotional boy. They are my friends. We are like a community. We all want to do the same purpose, to help people outside there.
Yeah. And what's the number one thing not to do if you want, or if you are building a healthcare startup?
I mean, when we started, there were a lot of opportunities coming to us. In the first time we had, in the first times we had so much success, and we have a lot of PR, outside publicity, good publicity, and companies coming, big, huge companies from pharma, from food, coming to us, and they started to discuss, and let's do a project, and let's do business together. And you have to try not to run every opportunity. Actually, you have to try to focus on one way, on your way. And so that's my advice to every startup entrepreneur. Try to keep focus as well as possible. Say to every opportunity,
no.
Not no. I mean,
not now.
Evaluate.
Yeah.
Make sometimes a hard decision, or say I do it later. Even it's so interesting. It could be such a scaling potential to work with such a company. I know corporates needs around 2 years until you have a business model with them. So it's not like, okay, we are sitting together, and now after 3 months we have a business model and running business and the revenues. No, even in the healthcare it takes so long. And I had also one experience. We did a lot of work. We developed a really nice tool. We developed a digital gut microbiota check, a quick check, where you just answer questions, and then we calculate, based on our real bioanalytic profiles, a first look into your microbiota. Yeah? Digital approach, great tool. Everything was finished after 2 years, the contracts were ready, and then the management changed. And from one day to the other, it was not signed.
Gosh.
And I said, what's the gosh? Yeah.
Yeah.
What the hell? What happened? Yeah, and so in the end, I mean, we have a good, cool tool, but we have no business. It can always happen when you work with corporates. So also an advice from me, is there somebody coming and you see it's an opportunity, and these other partner really want to work with you together, then say also at startup, okay, show me your interest, give me resources, give me a budget, go at first. When I see you pay a little bit money, a project budget, and you give me these resources, then I believe you really believe in our business.
Yeah.
So don't just trust words. So that's
Don't
also
just
an
trust
advice.
words. I like that.
Yeah.
What's the one impact you want to leave on the world with Biomes?
I mean, the main point is I would like to create tools, solutions with access to everybody on the world, that you can take your own health in your own hand by our tools and solutions in an easy way, that you can track your body, your biomarkers, your vital parameters, your sensor data, and that you get a great guidance from us, an easy guidance, which help you young, which help you healthy, so you have a long life in a healthy mode. That's actually my fingerprint, which I would like to give the world and the society.